Good evening and welcome to the last tackle. 6 teams remain. By Saturday night, it'll be 4. It's the Betfred Super League Play-Offs.
Well, I suppose the clock ticks faster and the scoreboard adds a pressure in playoff rugby.
5 nerve-shredding matches on the road to Old Trafford.
Super League's elimination playoffs is now just minutes away.
Yeah, oh, what a challenge that was!
Wigan have had a sensational year so far.
Runs away from Nicolina and runs away from them all! Magic Mikey strikes again! It's an interception on Matty Ashton, who's one of the quickest men on the field. It's going to be another Warrington try. We chased hard by McDonald. Oh, McDonald! What about that? Sonny Nicholson in the corner for St Helens. Josh Charlie is over. What a moment. We're expecting fireworks. All roads leading to Old Trafford.
Yes, round 27 is complete. As we've just heard, all roads lead to Old Trafford. And to get us there and talk about the playoffs, I'm delighted to welcome to the studio Adrian Morley and Carl Amor. Gents, thanks for coming in. Carl, first of all, whatever happens, we have got some brilliant playoffs ahead.
Yeah, we've got some great fixtures lined up, and we're hearing the news that Salford have already sold somewhere in the region of 8,000, heading towards a possible sellout. That Hull KR, the numbers and the crowd attendance they've had all season, you'd expect that one to be. And of course as well, Warrington Saints, that doesn't need any build up for selling. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant that we've got bums on seats and everybody getting excited just as we are heading into the playoffs.
Yeah. Favourite time of the year for me. The season's been fantastic, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's been good.
But the playoffs, the intensity gets knocked up a level. There's so much at stake, particularly for these two games at the weekend. There's no second bites of the cherry. They're playing for knockout places, and they get one more game away from the hallowed ground of Old Trafford. So can't wait for these two fixtures, two fantastic games coming up, and it's all to play for.
Right, we'll talk about these two playoffs in detail on Friday, 8 o'clock, and Saturday at 5:30. Let's just wrap up the regular season, 27 rounds of rugby. Wigan came out on top, and might be difficult for you to say, but Wigan have been the best team over 27 rounds.
Yeah, not at all, mate. I remember coming in here right at the very start of the season, and I thought with what Wigan had signed and everything that they were doing off field, that I think I went on record even saying that I think if they play at their absolute best, I don't see anyone landing a glove on them for 2 seasons. Hull KR threatened that, of course, with the league leaders. But on the balance of it, you'd have to say Matty Peet and his men have done a stellar job. Winning every trophy that's on offer so far, including the World Club Challenge as well. And they go one more for that, for that quadruple that's never been done before. So the cusp of greatness, sort of, if you want to call it that, awaits that team and Matty Peet. And it's for everybody else, those other 5 teams, to make sure that doesn't happen.
You've been there. How difficult is it to win the regular season on the bounce?
It's the hardest, I'm sure Moz will agree as well, it's the hardest trophy to win really, but it's one that we don't really get, excited about. I know they celebrate it a little bit more, or, coaches allude to it a little bit more perhaps in Australia, but ones we don't recognise it as a serious and genuine trophy, which I think's sad. I think it's sad for the game, because 27 rounds to be consistently the best, it takes some doing physically and mentally, and it's a shame, but it is what it is.
I heard Matt Peet say, "Go and celebrate."
Yeah, definitely. I mean, before the grand final and the playoff system, first past the post, like football, you were crowned champions, and that should be recognised. I agree with Kyle. That should be recognised a little bit more. It is in Australia, but finishing top of the pile is an incredible achievement. You've only just got one level now. That now you've got to play well in the playoffs, got to make the grand final and ultimately win it. But they should be celebrating.
Well, let's say it for me, man in charge of Wigan, it's Matt Peet.
Matty, obviously League Leaders Shield in the bag. You come into this week with a week off, able to kind of watch the other teams go at it and enjoy that. It must be a real satisfying feeling, a bit of a calm before the storm, but a real satisfying feeling in the position that you put yourselves in.
It was, yeah. I'm proud that we did. It was a good end to last week, to the regular season, but we're going to a new competition now. Other than a home game, it doesn't count for too much. We have to perform in our next challenge, whoever that may be. So yeah, our attention moves forward really quickly. The recognition was nice for last week, but the exciting time of the season. 6 good clubs ready to go at it, and I think there's some great games to come.
How valuable is that week off, just to get the players rested, recuperated, refreshed, ready to go?
Yeah, it can be. We've experienced in the last 2 years both ways. We had the week off and failed in the semi-final, and I think we learned a little bit from that, and the things that we put into place last year that worked quite well, and we'll look to learn again into this next semi-final that we'll go into.
People will talk about the kind of physical benefits of that break and being able to rest up, but is there a kind of mental aspect to it as well, of just being able to kind of reset a little bit and get the players in the right mindset?
I genuinely believe it can work both ways. I think the teams that win this week will feel really battle hardened and they'll have momentum. So it can work both ways, and all each team can concentrate on is the next performance, the preparation, and that's what we'll do. There's no real advantage to reading too much into it. It's just about trying to maximise the situation that you find yourself in.
There was a few raised eyebrows when he was appointed, but how good has he been?
Been fantastic. I really enjoy listening to him post and pre-match, and you can tell he really cares about the club and the players, and I think he's been fantastic. Well, he's got an incredible record, for the short amount of time he has coached the club, so he's doing something right. But I think it was a great. As much as the question marks raised, I think it was a fantastic appointment for the club. I think he's exceeded all expectations. I think he'll be there for a long time to come, really.
We had Chris Radlinski in here early on the season. He revealed that when he appointed Matt Peet, he was getting emails of complaints. Yeah. Got about 40 odd saying, what are you doing appointing him?
Well, he's proven all them wrong now, hasn't he? And I was just going to mention that. Remember we sat here the week after the World Club Challenge, and when Chris Radlinski mentioned all those things. But look, his success speaks for itself, and it's no coincidence how the powers that be at Wigan have decided to sign him up on that long-term deal amongst with Sean O'Loughlin and Tommy Luluai. So it looks like there's good times ahead over at the Brick Community Stadium. Yeah, obviously top of the pile, which is a big achievement, but they seem to be doing things right off the pitch as well, don't they? Yeah. The little touches in the community and stuff like that. It feels like the old Wigan's back, in my opinion. Well, that's it. Obviously, you look. Your community is the lifeline into your game, with sponsors and everything into your club. And Matty Peet obviously recognised the importance of inspiring the next generation and hooking them and attracting them at a young age into the Wigan brand. And fair play, he's doing it. He's laying the foundations for. Again, he's there for the next 7 seasons. So some of those kids that he goes into them schools, they might be the ones who are future stars of the game. So again, you've only got to pay the club credit for what they've done. Right then, Moz, what about the old debate? Week off, good thing or bad thing?
I think it's a good thing, particularly this time of year when you've played 27 rounds. Having a week off, I think it's rest a few tired bodies, get them all ready. I think it's if you look at the history of the Super League, the teams who did finish first or second, or the way it was formatted, the teams who got the week off, more often than not, they did actually make the grand final. So I think it is a bonus. But yeah, it's still going to be. As good as Wigan have gone, they've been the best team. Don't get me wrong, but there's just been a little bit of vulnerability. I thought Warrington went there, 6 or 7 weeks ago and really schooled him. And Hull KR was a fantastic. That was my favourite game of the year. The Hull KR Wigan away. I thought Hull KR were the better side.
Front, weren't they?
To the Sue Simbini. So that was when Wigan had the full complement of players back. So. The week off, they could be a little bit vulnerable playing that one-off game, but that's the beauty of sport, innit? We're yet to see.
Week off, good thing or bad thing?
Well, it never harmed us when we were at Saints. We finished in the top 2, or we've gone on to win them grand finals. So I can only talk in my experience, and I think to back Moz's point up. So in the dress, just rewind and 3 years ago in the dressing room, you chuffed it's a week off, are you? I don't really get the sort of think you think bruises out of the way and. I think as a player, Mark, you don't really think like that, do you? It's just that's just what comes with the territory of finishing in the top 2. I don't think you sat there going, "Oh, we've got a week off, great."
Yeah.
I think at this point you're almost wanting
you're not
games.
going to bed, don't you?
No, you're almost wanting games to come thick and fast. You know, the other thing, what was maybe nice was, you know, that first weekend you'd sit back and you'd watch Saints and Warrington for this week, and you'd just all be whack hell out of each other, you know. So there was that part of it, but yeah, look, I think, you know, if you finish in the top 2, I think statistically, like what Moz referred to before, I think 80% of all grand final winners have finished in that top 2. So you increase your chances, put it that way. It's not a guarantee, but it certainly helps.
Right. Also, week off is Hull KR. Let's hear from their coach, Willie Peters.
Willie, we're at that end of the regular season. I guess you guys are exactly where you want to be, a home semi-final, a week off, and an opportunity to write your name in the history books.
Yeah, we've put ourselves in a strong position. There's no doubt about that. So now we've got a week off. Players have got a week off to recover and prepare for whoever we play the week after. But yeah, looking forward to this last sort of hopefully 2-game block.
Does that week off almost give you a little bit of a headache as a coach, just to kind of how to get that balance right, the balance between rest but also making sure that your boys stay sharp?
Yeah, no, it's the right comment. Like it is finding the balance. But I think firstly we needed some rest. So we gave them 3 days off, and then we'll start to build. But we don't want to be playing the game. You can play the game too early. We've got another week or nearly 2 weeks, whatever it is, to prepare for the game. So we'll get the right. That blend in. You know, we've spoken to performance staff, coaches. You know, we've thoroughly looked into what we believe is going to be the best prep for them, and they'll be ready in 2 weeks' time.
Obviously, you knew stepping out on Friday that league leadership was out of reach, but how important was it to get that second place?
Yeah, I think it was important because we put ourselves in a position to finish first or second, or second after obviously Wigan winning on Thursday night. So, you know, we're in a position to win that game, against Wigan. We didn't, and then I knew after that we probably weren't going to get the league leaders. So, you know, it's one of those where, you know, I think we deserved to finish second. We put ourselves in a position throughout the year to be first or second. So if we didn't win that game on Friday, it would have been disappointing.
Moz, what a job he's done.
Fantastic. Been so proud of him, you know, and impressed by Willie Peet. He's been fantastic. Not just the results, but the way he composes himself, and pre and post game, he's been absolutely fantastic. Challenge Cup final, one they got away last year. This year, they've got an absolutely fantastic chance to make the grand final. Once you're in the final, that's when you compete to try and win it. But I think, regardless of how the season finishes, Hull KR have had a fantastic year, and you know, it's down to that man there.
How big obviously we don't know they're playing yet, but how big an opportunity is this for Hull KR next Friday?
Massive, massive. Look, I hope that Hull KR go all the way. I think they deserve it. I think the style of rugby they play, some of the players who have been in that team have been right up there at the top of the game this season, and it would be great for the game as well. I think, you know, having Hull KR
a new name on a trophy.
You know, let's not forget, it was only, you know, I think it might have been 2013. They were in the £1 million game, you know, and. Like
2016 it was.
2016, sorry. So, but now look, you know, they've set a blueprint up for clubs and give the rest of the clubs hope and opportunity. If they can get there, you know, if they can get everything together, then there's a platform there or a blueprint rather to go at, and I just think it would be great for the game. But take sentiment away, I think they thoroughly deserve to be in the position they're in right now.
How big a blow is Elliot Nichilla?
Yeah, I think he's one of the brightest talents in Super League. I love watching his all-action style. So for him to be missing in that game, the shining light for Hull KR and for Minchella is that if and when they do make the final, he won't miss out on that. It would have been a travesty if it had been banned for more games and he gets to miss out. But I think they've got a fantastic chance. Obviously, that would have liked him in the game, but if they make the final, he'll be back.
Do you think Hull KR will be bothered with playing a semi? Now we're at home?
No, I don't think so. I think they've been pretty decent at home as well, haven't they? And I think they'll just be. I think their fans will be. I think now they'll have expectation. I think that's something that they'll have to deal with. I think OKR fans are now starting to expect them to be in this final this year, which is dangerous territory as well. There's obviously a game and a semi-final to be played before then, but I don't think they'll be worried about who it is, whether it's Leigh, Salford, or whoever it may be. I don't think they'll be too worried. But having Minchella not there it adds a bit of a dynamic to it. But it's a squad game, and everybody says that at the start of the year. And if they deserve to win it and be in the final, then they'll get the rewards.
And obviously, there's lots of ifs, maybes, whatever. Can they go all the way, OKR?
Definitely, yeah, they've proved...
and go and win it, I mean, not just get to the final, go and win it.
100%. I mean, I mentioned that game the other week against Wigan. I thought it was a fantastic game. They were the better side for long periods of that game. You don't finish second in the Super League by chance. So they've been particularly strong at home as well, so they've got a great chance of making it, and once you're in that, the big dance, could go their way.
We're also coming to the end of the wheelchair season as well. The Betfred Wheelchair Super League on Saturday. We've got semi-final action for you here on the Sportsman. The Halifax Panthers versus the London Roosters. So that is a 3:30 kickoff on Saturday. So you can just warm up for the big game at Warrington by watching at live and exclusive on the Sportsman Rugby League YouTube channel. And then we'll have the grand final the day after the game at Old Trafford. So loads of Rugby League to look forward to. Right, we've spoken about Wigan and Hull KR. They've got a week off. Let's talk about the 4 teams that are going to battle it out this week. Starting Friday night, it could be the biggest ever crowd at Salford. It's Salford versus Leigh. And let's hear from Salford's coach, Paul Rowley.
Written off at the beginning of the season, as it always seems to be. It sort of seems to be kind of throughout the year just a quiet confidence amongst your squad going about your business and knocking off the results.
We're written off because clearly I think we spend the second least after London, so the bookies aren't really that much of a genius to put us second favourites for second last at that, because they go off the facts and the figures. Budget, no infrastructure, no pathway. However, we've still got a talented bunch of players, and as we always say, with a little bit of luck, everybody needs a little bit of luck regarding injuries to key players, etc. Then when we've got our full team out, we have a lot of fun. We back ourselves. There's a fair bit of experience and quality within that team as well. So we've managed to get ourselves in a healthy spot, and we're delighted with that. We don't do it to prove anybody wrong. We just enjoy the experience and the journey, and the journey's got us to 4th.
And I really like what Salford have done. Should be a record crowd on Friday night. I mean, under 12's only £1 as well. It's fantastic what Salford have done. Proud Salford on in next to me. Right then, I presume you're going on Friday night?
I'm going on Friday. I'll be there. I won't miss this for anything.
We're talking about weeks off. That's what Salford had last week, isn't it? 14 changes.
They did actually.
But they still ended up at home.
They did. Well, it could have backfired. Only in terms of they would have got home advantage and they would have had to go to Saints. But results did go in their favour, and I think it's a genius stroke by Paul Rowley. He's not got the biggest of squads. There's a couple of players potentially struggling with injury, but just a week off, just to rest up and get themselves ready. And so them boys are going to be firing on Friday. So they're with Wigan and OKR. They've had a week off, haven't they?
Carl, he faced a lot of criticism for his 14 changes, but many of us can understand why he did it. Not just to avoid injuries, but to avoid suspensions as well.
Yeah, but I think
because the last time we were in the semi-finals, of course, met St Helens. They had no Brodie Croft, and Andy Ackers went off head injury.
That's right, yeah. But I think by having those 8 debutants and those 14 changes, over at Wigan the other night, what it screamed to me was that Paul Rowley's he's not bothered where he finishes or who he plays. There's an air of confidence about him. He said, wherever that may be, so what? We're in it, and we back ourselves.
If we have to go to Saints, we go to Saints.
And we've got, our full squad has shown this season that they can beat pretty much any of those top sort of 6 teams. And I just felt that it was a big Just a big confidence boost, really, to say, listen, we can rest and we can recover 1 or 2 knocks, but when we get into the playoffs, it doesn't matter. We've just got to go there and win. And I really thought, again, I agree with Moz. I thought it was a masterstroke from him. They get that home game now against Leigh, and obviously, it's almost the semi-final of the underdogs. Nobody give any of these 2 clubs a chance before. Before a ball was kicked, everybody written them off. But look where we are now. We've got them going at it on Friday night, and I can't wait to watch it.
I think home advantage is massive for Salford. I mentioned it could have come unstuck because I think if you look at all the teams, Salford have probably got the best home record. Than Wigan and the top teams. So home advantage, I think is absolutely fantastic for Salford. It'll give them a better chance.
We'll talk about the game in a moment after we've heard from Adrian Lamb, but very quickly. At the beginning of the season, Brodie Croft obviously joined Leeds, Andy Ackers joined Leeds. How big an achievement is it for Salford to finish 4th? I know there's no trophy for it, but how big an achievement is it?
Massive. If you look at the resources and the money they spend on the squad, he said, apart from London, we spend the least on our players. To lose quality players like Ackers and Croft, and they'd been punching above the weight all year, and to finish where they have is just fantastic. Paul Rowley needs to take a massive bow, as do the players, but I think it's fantastic for Salford, and they're in the mix now, and they're going to give themselves every chance.
We also need to give a pat on the back to Adrian Lamb, because after round 19 there were 9 points off the playoffs. Let's hear from Adrian Lamb.
Adrian, the first job done, so to speak. You've got yourselves into the 6. You must be really happy with the way that your side finished the regular season.
Yeah, I think halfway through we're doing it pretty tough with so many injuries and some concerns there, but we rallied really well, and showed a lot of resilience, I feel, and the second part of the season's been quite a journey, to be honest with you. So I think 10 out of 12 wins now, and I think had we slipped up once along the way in that second half of the season, we wouldn't have been in that position to have that game in our hands to make the 6. So I think I saw something this morning that we've only been beaten by 3 teams since the end of April, which is incredible. So I had to have a look at that myself. So, but having said that, I think the team's really playing confident at the moment. I think there's a lot of trust and belief in the group. So grateful we're in the 6 now, but feel like the season's only just beginning.
Feels like the season's only just begun. Right, Carl, before we talk the actual game, what an achievement. They looked like they had no chance for playoffs.
Yeah, again, we mentioned just before, didn't we? 2 sides that had no chance, Leigh obviously being one of them. They had got off to an awful start. 1 win in 7, put them behind the 8 ball, and the number of injuries they had made it incredibly difficult. You're right to reference that back in July they were 9 points adrift of the playoffs, and they're a team that's rolling into this playoff series with a lot of momentum behind them. I thought it was a brilliant win last weekend against St Helens. I thought physically they were right up there where they needed to be.
Greg, you commentating, weren't you? It was a great game to watch.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And look, St Helens, they scored 2 tries while Ricky Latelli was sin-binned, and I just felt that for the majority of the game they were the better side, and credit where credit's due. It felt like the playoffs came a week early in that game, and I think what Adrian Lamb's been able to do, not only even this season, you go back 2 seasons ago, he recruited that squad for the championship, he got promoted, nobody gave him a chance, he wins the Challenge Cup, gets into the playoff series, loses at the first hurdle. Now they've got a chance to go 1 ahead. If they can beat Salford, that's a progression, and I think a lot of people we're talking about Salford a lot, and I absolutely get it. It's amazing what they're doing, but Leigh have got their own story as well here, so it makes it into a great game.
Right, it's pointless asking him, because he'll say 64-0 Salford.
Right.
What kind of game are we going to get on Friday night, and who's going to come out on top?
Well, I mean, I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I think if physically, if Leigh do what they can do physically, if they can physically get on top of Salford, I think they beat Salford.
They were good on Friday.
They were really good on Friday. However, how much of that emotion has been taken out of them with that? And the fact that they were chasing the playoffs right until that game, and they get in there, what does that do to them? Exactly, what does that do to them? But also as well, the biggest and probably most important player out of the 34 guys that will take to the field is Mark Sneyd. What kind of performance does Mark Sneyd either be allowed to do, or does he bring? That will have a huge say on the game.
Come on then. Where's the game going to be won, and who's going to win it?
I think I think Salford are going to win it. I just think you mentioned then, Leigh's Everest was making the playoffs. Look, they're going to go there and give Salford everything's last game, last roll of the dice. But I just think with Paul Rowley giving the boys a week to recover last week, I just think they're going to be focused for this. It's at home. I think Salford are going to get the job done, and I think they're just going to play, just because it's a playoff game, I don't think they're going to play conservatively. I think they're going to throw the ball around as they have done all year. Why change something that's not broke? So I think they're going to throw the ball about, and I think they're going to nick it. I don't think it'll be 64-0 as you said before, but I think it'll be very, very tight. But I just think Salford, I think if you look at them all year, they've won so many games through 2 points here, 4 points there. They're used to winning tight games, and I think they'll do that on Friday.
Friday night, record crowd at Salford as well. Live on Sky, it'll be an absolute cracker. Let's turn our attention to Saturday night, Warrington versus St Helens. Let's hear from the Warrington boss, Sam Burgess.
Well, Sam, this is it, the business end of the season, knockout football from here on in. Are these the kind of days that made you want to get into coaching?
Yeah, well, we obviously want to be involved at this time of year, so we're happy to be playing and working. So we're looking forward to the game this weekend. St Helens at our place, Hellywell Jones on Saturday afternoon. So we're looking forward to that challenge.
Warrington, St Helens are always intense games. They're always quick games. Does the home advantage really come into play in that environment?
No, I don't know. I don't know this time of year. It's everyone's fine-tuning the game, and they've all figured out what's working for them and not. So at the end of the day, it's just another field, similar dimensions, probably just a few more of our fans there and less of theirs. But otherwise, it's just another game at the end of the day.
Is it a case of taking it one game at a time, or are you using the prize on the horizon as a kind of driving factor?
Well, you can't get too far in front of yourself. You've got to stay present and what's important. So our main challenge really is Saturday afternoon. We've got a Saints team that are finding the way back into form and fitness. So we know it's going to be a great task for us. So we're fully focused on that for now, and we've got to get the job done there to even think about the week after.
Moz, former Warrington captain, of course. At the beginning of the season, I asked Sam what the aims were. He wouldn't tell me. No. He said he wouldn't give the game away. Challenge Cup final and 2 games away from Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Not a bad season.
No, not a bad season. Fantastic. He needs to be commended. There was eyebrows raised when he did get the head coaching role because of his lack of experience. But knowing him as a player and as a bloke, I knew he was going to make a success of it. And he's still learning as well. So I think it'll be better for his experience this year, next year. But he don't want to just go out with a fizzle this year. He wants to get to a grand final. And I thought they were brilliant against Wigan. 6 or 7 weeks ago, they didn't really turn up in the Challenge Cup final. There was rabbits in the headlights, really.
They froze, didn't they?
They did, but the players will be better for that experience. So I just think he's priming him right, and they're going to make an assault on Old Trafford. And if they do get there, I won't be surprised.
Before we hear from Paul Wellens, quick word on Sam Burgess, and the job is done.
Yeah, I think Moz has just nailed it. A lot of us, were curious how it was going to go, but we all recognised it was going to go one or two ways, didn't we? And thankfully for Warrington and for Sam and his development as a coach, it's gone the way that that many who's played with him would have expected to. He's a natural leader, and you can tell that what he's been able to do is either through his own playing career or through his words to that group, is drag a load of men with him, and this game at this level, it's really about creating a narrative and getting people to buy into what you're trying to do as one, to try and achieve one common goal, and I think it's pretty evident that he's able to do that. So we'll wait and see how this one unfolds over the next couple of weeks.
Right, well, let's hear from the opposition coach and hear from Paul Wellens.
You and Warrington obviously know each other well. You've played each other plenty of times before. They're always intense games. They've always got a real kind of high tempo to them. I guess you're expecting that probably times 10 in a playoff environment.
Yeah, we're expecting a real intense game. We've played, like you said, we've played Warrington 3 times already this year. Obviously, we've been on the wrong side of the result there, so we're going to have to make some improvements if we're going to turn that on its head, so to speak. But I feel that we're a team that's very much moving in the right direction. Hopefully that shows in our performance on Saturday.
It's a team that knows the playoffs well. Obviously, still plenty of that squad that did 4 in a row in there. Can you kind of see them almost resort to a little bit of muscle memory now they're in this stage of the season and kind of going through, not through the motions, but kind of through the routine of being in a knockout environment?
Yeah, potentially. You know, we have a certain way that we approach big games at St Helens. It's worked for us well in recent years. You know, we're very relaxed in terms of the way we go about our business, but our preparation needs to be spot on. So we're going to work hard on the training field. We're going to obviously prepare diligently because we know that we're coming up against a really good side. But we're also excited about the challenge that lies ahead.
Paul Wellens there, and look, we're not used to talking about Saints being the outsiders, are we?
No, but they are, and we have to sort of deal with the facts that what the season has presented. I thought they got off to a great start. I think they were sat sort of towards the top of the table after 11 rounds, and then they got hit with a wave of injuries. And just as they were getting players back, they'd lose a few more key players. But that's the game, that's sport, and we're going about the squad that we talked about earlier. They just haven't had. They haven't had probably the quality that maybe they had in depth over and it's shown.
And injuries have hit them, haven't they, as well?
Absolutely,
yeah.
But not only that, other teams have evolved over. They were chasing St Helens down when they were winning 4 in a row, so they've evolved. And it's been a very, very difficult season for Wello. There's no doubt about that. He'll even admit that himself. But they're in the playoffs, and I wouldn't back against them this weekend. It wouldn't surprise me. Do they deserve it over the course of the season? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? But it's
Leigh won it from fifth.
Well, exactly. And it's the playoffs, and who knows? But the fact that they're in there, and they've been a club that's been in there since every single of the 29 seasons of Super League. It's a
right. Where's the game won, and who's going to win?
I'm pleased that Saints have got all the players back, or the majority of them back, because if they hadn't have had them, it could have been a bit of a one-sided affair. We don't want that in the playoffs, really. But I do think just because they've limped into the playoffs rather than coming in flying, I just think confidence is low. It's really hard in rugby league to say, right, going from a team, win one week, lose the other, and then get up for the playoffs. So I just think Warrington have been more consistent, and I just think Warrington are going to win it. But I think it's going to be closer than people think. But I think Warrington are going to win a tight one.
Difficult, isn't it? Look, I'm probably going to go. I'm going to go Warrington. I think for the reasons Moz said. These two played each other a couple of weeks ago, and I know there's this key personnel come back for Saints. I just don't know if they've had enough time. I don't know if they've had enough time for that returning, starting 13 than what they've had. They were better last week. Don't get me wrong, and I watched them against Castleford the week before, and defensively they were moving much better than what they had been doing. But I just think time will probably get them, and I think Warrington will win the game.
We have run out of time. Not had time to ask you about, obviously, Whitehaven. Look, at the end of the day, you've come in and helped out your hometown club, haven't you? That's what you have done.
Yeah, look, it was just about getting to the end of the season, Mark, and thankfully we're there. We play Halifax on Sunday, and then we all sort of depart our ways, and the club gets to survive and carry on its 76-year history. So,
and that's the most important.
Yeah.
And talking about surviving, word this week that David Hughes is obviously leaving London Broncos, and he funded them for 27 years.
Yeah,
I know you want to say something.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. I want to commend David and what he's done for the game in London and rugby league in general. It's not many clubs make money. I know for a fact he's put a hell of a lot of money into London, and it's a shame because I thought there was times where London really was on the cusp of really cracking London. Being a big name down there, a big sport. But it wasn't quite the way. But we want to thank him for his services, and let's hope London find a new owner soon and back up there in Super League.
Thanks for coming in, fellas. It really is a business end of the season. One game left in the Championship. Well done to St Helens and your ladies. They're going to play in the grand final as well. So good luck to them. Don't forget, live rugby league on this channel. We have got the Halifax Panthers versus the London Roosters. That's a semi-final of the Betfred Wheelchair, live and exclusive on Saturday. Thanks for coming in, gents. Enjoy the Betfred Super League Play-Offs. We're going to have 2 crackers this week. See you soon.